Ching.
Nothing personal.
Nothing personal. Too many years as an actor. And every time I tell my friends that I do stand-up comedy, they would say to me, "Oh, Peggy, you're so brave." I'll tell you what's scary about me doing stand-up comedy. Me driving to get here. And I'm not Asian. I was born a British subject. What is it you say? My sentiment exactly. I was born a British subject, which is not the same as an English girl. And now, I'm a US citizen. Which is not the same as an American woman. I was born in Hong Kong when Hong Kong was a British crown colony. Yeah. At the rate things are going, I may live to see Portland be a Chinese communist colony. It's a horrible joke. But somebody's got to do Chinese political jokes. For all I know, folks back in China doing political jokes, they're touring America now as body exhibits. Yeah. So I'm taking their place, and I'm not taking my chances. So I'm keeping my body in good shape. I want to be a dope exhibit, okay? And thank you for introducing me as a doctor, an MD. I can't tell you how many times I've been mistaken for a nurse. And I'm not Filipino. I know. I have trouble telling us apart too. I have trouble telling us doctors and nurses apart. If I see some handsome hunk in scrubs coming down the hall, I can never tell if it's a male nurse or a gay doctor. I just wasted a flirty smile. Because I'm not about to date a nurse. My parents raised me better than that. Speaking about my parents, at age 16, we got the visa to immigrate as a whole family. We thought we won the lottery. We moved from Hong Kong to Cleveland. You've heard of Cleveland. We didn't. We didn't know it was like, you win first prize, 1 week vacation in Cleveland. Second prize, 2 weeks. And we won grand prize, permanent residencies. Coming from the third world, back then, we call it third world, but I guess today you call it shithole adjacent. Coming from there, we expected the streets of America to be paved in gold. And we found out it was tar. We figured tar must be the new gold. And in Cleveland, they not only tar their streets, they must have tarred their river. That was the year that the Cuyahoga River caught itself on fire. Thanks a lot, that was burnt into my memory. And coming from Hong Kong, I've never seen snow. So after the first summer, in Cleveland. I've never seen sun. And by the time I went to college, I was just so excited to see snow. I got outside, the sun was reflecting on the snow, and I was so happy, I was smiling, and then I couldn't get rid of that smile. My face was frozen. I looked like the happy face emoji. And as all immigrant family, my parents put all their hopes and dreams in their children. I went to school, I studied hard, I got a degree, but I was still a big disappointment because they can never point to me and say, "Our son, the doctor." They had in mind for me to marry a doctor. I thought it was easier to be a doctor. I didn't feel attractive growing up. And I was right. It is easier to be a doctor than to be married to one. Just ask any of my ex-husbands. I didn't marry a Chinese man because I didn't want to be somebody's obedient wife. So I married white American men who thought they were getting an obedient Chinese wife. Were we all in for a big surprise. And I just didn't do it once. I had to do it again with worse consequence. And I was a straight A student. I graduated college summa cum laude, and I was a board-certified plastic surgeon. And finally, at this time in my life, I am the woman I always dreamt to be. A ditzy blonde. And I guess I should properly introduce myself, I suppose. I am Peggy Ching. I am Peggy K. Ching, MD, FACS. Did you catch all of that? I have more initials in my title than the Chinese have alphabet. Chinese have no alphabet. This is a joke. And Guangming is my name. Peggy is just a nickname my mother called me to show off she spoke English. And for Cantonese speakers, it was impossible to pronounce. So growing up, I was called Biggie, I was called Big G, I was called Piggy, and the other weekend I was at a bar called Packy, and I thought they were calling me. So when the immigration officer when I became a citizen, he just put Peggy as my first name and put Guangming into my middle name, and just like that, I was abbreviated into a middle initial K. This is called naturalization. Let me tell you, it felt about as natural as a blonde Asian. I have to introduce myself to myself. And for the longest time, when somebody say Peggy, I would say, "Oh, who, me?" They thought "Oh, who, me" was my Chinese name. Like a cousin of Sandra Oh. And when I graduated from medical school, not too many women become surgeons. Not too many women nowadays become surgeons. So when I finished my training, the American College of Surgeons just go ahead and made me one of their fellows. So the FACS stands for fellow of American College of Surgeons. I'm a fellow. Didn't even need a sex change. But for what they put me through, I've grown a set of balls. Yeah. And I turned prematurely gray, you know, this side effects of growing balls. Until I moved to LA. It's Tinseltown. My gray turned into my platinum highlights. And I dated an older man who only dated blondes. And he told me before me, he dated Sharon Stone. Do you remember her?
Yep.
Yeah. Sharon Stone and I shared something in common. Neither of us are real bonds. And well, we surgeons have no fashion sense. Because we walk around all day in a pair of pajamas. We call them scrubs. And back when I was in training, scrubs used to be all green. Because green was the color that's most calming and soothing to patients. So in the operating room, the walls, the floor, the drapes, they're all green. And the interns. But you couldn't see the intern because of special effect, the green effect, green screen. And as plastic surgeons, we have a special dress code. We have to have this fashion accessory. You men probably call it a sports car. You can spot one of us a mile away. And at the height of my career, I had two. Because what a man can do, I can do better. The first one is a Porsche 911, but the second one I bought because my then husband said, I look good in it. It's like a ball gown, you know, I look good in it, I better have it. It was a Lotus Elise. I miss my sports car. Now, my husband treated me like his Capital One. He's got me in his pocket. He needs no cash, no credit, no job. And by the time he got done with me, my FICO score is about as high as my cholesterol score. And the identity thieves, they got me on a no-steal list. Please take my identity. That's the only way I can get a fresh start. And I got married in California. Now I ended up having to pay alimony until the day he dies. With my luck, I'll still have to pay alimony after I die. So after the divorce, I can't be left alone. I need company 24/7. I'm the surgeon. I know how to cut people up. If something happened to my ex, I'm gonna need solid alibi. And I was doing stand-up. My son went to school in New Jersey, so I was doing stand-up in New Jersey for a while, in my California sundress in the summer. And after each show, I would have men from the bar come up to me and offer free grabs. of their heartache. I thought I was in comedy heaven. What comedian doesn't want to finish a good set and have somebody offer a free grab? And what would be the worst thing that could happen if I take one of them home? I'm the surgeon. I'm the one that knows how to pick up people, and I know how to use knockout drugs. But I'm no rapist murderer. Now, I've never been sexually assaulted by a stranger. But it's never too late. So I watch Criminal Minds. And I know that, to catch a criminal, you have to think like a criminal. So now, every day, I would stand in front of a mirror and would say, yep, I'd still do her.
I didn't time it. You can go
you're
as
fine.
long.
You got like 10 minutes.
You want to hear about my success story as a doctor, or you want to hear my failure story as a woman? You don't even have to vote. I can tell. So I'll tell you, the youngest man I ever slept with was 22. Actually, 21 and 10 months. He was that young. He had to round up. But I was only 18 at the time. So he was still the older man. And I was telling you about this older man that I was dating in Hollywood. He reminded me of a family member that I adore. Yeah, same cheekbone. Okay, I admit it. I have granddaddy issue. And he used to be 6 feet tall. Is it 6 feet or 6 foot? I don't know.
6 feet.
6 feet, yeah. English is my second language. He used to be 6 feet tall. And 6 feet is what I require to ride this ride. There's nothing that killed a mood deader than being shanked in the shin by gnarly toenails. I'll give you a moment to picture. But not too long. And he goes to the gym, he stays fit, and he's a very charming man. And one day he came back from the gym and he said to me, Peggy, I don't deserve you. I said, what do you mean? He said, I worked so hard. And at this time in my life, I think I deserve somebody with bigger boobs than mine. Speaking of which, I finally gave up. I threw all my bras away. Because all my life, the only American bra that I can fit into were training bras. By now my boobs are so well trained, they follow simple commands. Stay, play dead, heal. I had a breast biopsy last month. It healed up nicely. And it must be a Chinese goddess if I ever get breast cancer. It must be a Chinese goddess playing a joke on me. Gave me no breast and gave me breast cancer? Are you kidding me? But it was benign. That was the best B I've ever had. I bumped the only B. Now my daughter, she's no straight A. That's because she's half Chinese and half Tennessee hillbilly. by high school. I don't care if you bring home a B sometimes or a C even. But all D's, triple D. In fact, the bra fitting lady said she probably fit into an F cup. She didn't get it from me, from her dad's side. But no child of mine is bringing home an F. My son finally got married. I thought he'd never get married. Until a few years ago, it wasn't even legal. But what Chinese mom doesn't want 2 sons for the price of 1? And I, as all Chinese mom, I favored my son. So every time I see him, we'll be taking selfies, you know, because he's got a long arm and he took a selfie and said, "Son, that's a horrible picture of me. Can't you do better? Looks like my eyes are closed." He said to me, "Mom, that's racist." Looks like my eyes are closed. So now I'm dating a younger man. And when I'm traveling doing comedy with LG, he's back home. And one time he was telling me, texting me, he said, "I brought home a white long-haired pussy." So wait a minute, I'm supposed to be your long white-haired pussy. So I got mad. So LG and I went to the local bar, and I brought home a black cat. In dreadlocks. But my boyfriend, the next morning, showed me it was a Persian cat. So another time, he told me he brought home a black bitch. I said, "No, not again." So I went and found me a German Shepherd. Bernhard. He was real cute and tall too. My boyfriend, his black bitch turned into a Rottweiler. I hate pet-loving people. They don't make good boyfriends. All right, so that was my disaster of a sex life. Can I tell you some more about being a surgeon?
Yes.
No, nobody cared. I gave up doing surgery because, you know, at the height of my career, my specialty was tuba, transumbilical breast augmentation. I can squeeze a set of D-cup implants into a woman's chest through her belly button. And if I were business savvy, I should have trademarked that procedure after my name. Do you happen to remember my middle initial? K. I should have called it the Peggy Ching procedure. And every time I perform it, I would hear, ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. Too bad. I can't sell a product that I don't believe in. Does this look like a woman who believes in boob jobs? But I do hand jobs. The surgical kind. What were you thinking? So now I don't do surgery anymore. I'm in Florida. I'm the medical marijuana doctor. Yeah. My patients all send me texts saying, I love you. You're the best. What's there not to love? I gave them the permission to smoke weed in Florida. But I can never move to Florida. I went home to my family to see my daughter, to see my grandson graduate from kindergarten. And I was introduced as grandma from Florida. Never a grandma from Florida. That is not for me. So they asked me, Dr. Ching, do you partake? I get very offended. Do you go to your cardiologist and say, have you had a heart attack? Do you go to your psychiatrist and say, are you crazy? And this is an X-rated one. Do you go to your proctologist and say, hey, do you like taking it in the ass? So don't ask me if I partake in medical marijuana, okay? I'll end with this one. Back when I was in medical school, going through training, I don't have rich parents, so I'm pretty broke. And once in a while, I would go down to the blood bank and donate a unit of blood and sell it for about $50. That was big money back then. And I kept running into this law student in the same blood bank, and we struck up a conversation, and I asked him, hey, are you selling blood too? He said, no, I'm selling sperm. I said, well, how much do you get for it? He said, $300. I said, no, really? So a few months later, we're broke again. We're back into the same blood bank and run into the same law student. He said, Peggy, are you here selling blood again? Thank you.
Oh my goodness sakes, that's the best joke I've heard. Oh my gosh, that was great. I'll be laughing.